What's up? What's up? What's up? Let's start this thing. First, as usual, let's check the audio. We got the first Twitch bot. And the stream just begun. What the hell? Okay, let's ban this motherfucker. The bot has been banned. Okay. Now let's check the audio. Let's check the Twitch first. Okay, Twitch is alright. Very alright. And now let's check the YouTube. Okay, YouTube is excellent as well. Okay, great. Great. Alright, so I think we're ready to start today. Today is gonna be more of a chilled stream because lately I've been overworked, not enough sleep, lots of live shit happening, heavier live shit, etc. So, you know, let's just chill out on this almost beautiful Saturday late morning. Let's create a couple of more prototypes with blueprints. I don't think I will be able to get back to level designing this year because I still want to do a couple of more elements to this whole sandbox that I'm creating, or toy box of mechanics to string the level together. But one stream that I really want to do this year still, I hope I will manage to do this, is the one about defining art style for the game that I'm making. I tried to use like some generative AI stuff to find that idea. I have a direction, but I don't have like a concrete set in stone. Okay, this will look like this, this will look like this. I wanted to explore it with the AI, but the problem that I found was the direction that I'm taking is not something that's really been, or at least to my knowledge, done in video games that much. And it just wasn't understanding my prompts, like creating something completely weird and unusable, really. I only have like 2 images that are still far away from what I have in my mind, but you know, at least I could show them to you, and then I could, you know, try to explore the art style actually using the Unreal Engine, right? Because I'm not an artist, I cannot draw for shit, so you know. That's the stream that I want to do this year. I don't know how I will title it, like finding art style when you're not an artist, or exploring art style when you're not an artist, or something like this. But yeah, that's the one that I really want to do, and I already checked out like some new features with 5.7. Yeah, I think that's gonna be the plan for the December, like 1 or 2 art direction related streams and more of prototyping. But today I wanna see if I'll be able to bang out 2 prototypes. Let's finger cross. Let's talk about the first one that I really want to do. Since my game is about shooting arrows and basically solving puzzles and traversing the level with arrows, etc. And I'm working on flame-based mechanics, right? So I would create like a whole level center around the theme of flames. I already have like all the like some ways to ignite flame, right? Like I have flammable surfaces, I have non-flammable surfaces, I have spawners that are creating flame bubbles that you can shoot at and create a fire that way. But it's all been with the mechanic of like, hey, create a fire to burn something down. Or, right, so we have like burning something down, burn down, or the other mechanic, which is like put out fire, because I have also water bubbles and the water can interact with the fire and put it out. I have wind that can interact with bubbles carrying things, etc, etc, right? But basically those are two things that you can do. But how about we can use the already existing like fire and do something more with it, right? Let's see if I... Yeah, it worked. Can do something with it. And the idea is that... Let's put it somewhere down. Oh. Okay. So the idea is that fire creates a stream of hot air, right? And what if I had like balloons, hot air balloons, right? That a player could jump onto. Let me just quickly take care of my phone. Okay, phone taken care of. And that way, you know, like if you ignite couple of fires like that, you could create a road for yourself. Or maybe there could be like more physics puzzle, like the hot air balloon could push something up so something else will happen. Like for example, the hot air balloon could already have my bubble spawner in here, right? And you need to push it up further so it actually aligns those bubbles a little bit better, etc, etc. So there's a lot of things to explore that way, and I want to implement it today. Let's see if I will bang it out and we will have time to at least start implementing another idea or not. Today's stream I think will be like 2.5 hours or 3 hours. I don't really know. It depends on the info I might get on my phone. But yeah, let's do this. Dexterovsky is here. Hello! How are you doing? I assume at your place is exact same fucked up weather as in my region. Gloomy, dark, and depressing. Which is how Poland should be. No, not really. Oh man, I need some more sleep, but I think I will only get it during the Christmas break. And after that, maybe in March. Okay, let's get to the... to the prototyping. Last time I implemented just a simple mechanic that this is a flint, I can shoot at it, and the spark will bounce off of it based on the direction that you shoot at it, and the more you charge your bow, the farther it can go, right? So that's the one I banged out like last time. I shouldn't say banged out because it was slow. Doing this, I did a couple of stupid mistakes, but that's how development sometimes is, and I don't feel too well, so mentally. So yeah, let's take a chill pill and let's just do this. Dexterovsky says, yeah, but at least it's dry outside. Oh, did I envy you? Because it's wet as fuck and foggy, and I think it just started raining again. So even though, you know, I don't have snow here, it's all wet, so I'm still wearing my winter Timberlands just not to deal with the any fucking puddles and shit on the ground floor. Ground floor, what the fuck am I talking? I'm barely able to speak, as it seems. Okay, so we want to implement like a hot air balloon, right? So we have a fire. It creates a stream of hot air. Then we have a balloon that will enlarge a little bit. So I'll probably just use scale and timeline component for this quick prototype. And yeah, that's kind of it. So what we really need to do is decide two things. I mean, hot air balloon will be its own actor, that's for sure. But whether the hot stream of air should be its own spawnable actor with its own logic, or should it be part of flame logic? I'm leaning towards it should be its own actor, because I might use it for other things and it might be spawned by other things than fire. Like, for example, extremely hot water or lava or whatever, and that way I could always just spawn that actor, right? Although, I'll be honest, if I would be making it in C++, I would be tempted to create a subsystem that would be just registering the volumes where the hot air is, create a collision there. There would be only one actor that would contain all the collisions there, and that would be way more optimal. But since subsystems aren't exposed to Unreal Engine 5.6, I think, let's see. Nope. Let's do it the way that they think we should prototype this, right? So, hot air, is hot air wind related or fire related? One of those stupid fucking questions. I guess it is more like a function of air, so if anything I should name this air related, and but whatever. So we'll create a new blueprint class here that could be spawned by fire. We will call it, it will be based on actor, BP, hot air base, of course. And what do we need for such actor? Well, we only need logic of the collision and how big it should be. And I think there should be like some interface function, or at least just functions that would be able to resize the whole collision, or the whole actor, really scale the whole actor, or maybe just the collision, I'm not sure, but based on the size of the flame, right? Because there might be different flames, it should have different sizes, right? But that might be for later. And we need some like temporary visualization, which most probably will be just thick lines of collision. At some point I need to sit down to air particles. I don't know why am I so opposed to doing this Niagara work, but yeah. Let's concentrate on logic. Maybe I will do it today, I don't know. It is very chilled out and improvised. Stream of thoughts today. Okay, so let's just add our box collision. It should be 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, right? If we take a peek at it, and it's not, or at least I think so. Why the box collision? Because box extent is 32 by 32. No, I want this to be 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. That way. And of course I made a boo-boo. What the... Now it is 1 meter. Okay. And for now, of course, it won't be hidden in game, and I want line to be thick, 10. And which, you know, as I learned yesterday during night from Dexterowski on Discord, is something that they are showing in presentation as, hey, things you should know. And I'm like, oh my god, they didn't really show this in any documentation? Intro for newcomers? Oh my god, that's bad. Okay, yeah, it can be green, whatever, which I'm not sure. Okay. I want this to be way lighter. Why am I concentrating on such detail, and why am I making air particles actually green? I have no fucking clue. Okay, it will be like this. Because I want to see if it is spawned, right? And let's think really hard about how the collision will work. Dexterowski says, I can't stand how visualized volumes are in this engine. I think I am so just used to it that I don't have any emotions about that. But I remember looking at it and thinking like, god damn, this is so ugly. And hard, especially... No, I remember. Yeah, I do have emotions about it. I just remembered. My brain tried to push certain memories outside of my head. Working on the open world game, or even in like a linear game like Evil West when I was at Flying Wild Hog. Looking at the fully developed level with all the volumes, all the triggers, etc. And trying to find like, okay, just visually by looking at the picture, like, where is the trigger for that thing? It's a pain, so that's why you use filters, etc. But something that could probably be way more easier to find or work with takes a little bit more time. So when you have to work with it, it's annoying as hell. Okay. Let's think about how we want to set up this collision preset, because it should really only interact with my hot air balloon, which wouldn't be all the world dynamics. Another question I need to ask myself: do I want this hot air to affect my bubbles that are carrying water or fire? It is affected by strong wind, but it's not logical, but maybe hot air shouldn't affect this? Maybe it should. Maybe that's a question for later. Because I would have to... It would be... consistent to have hot air affect bubbles. So I will probably do it. Unless it will prove to be something that actually limits the design space possibility instead of increasing it. Okay, so... what type is actually my bubble? Let's get to the bubbles. What type of collision does it have? Pure collision, let's look at it. It has a collision of bubble. Okay, so how about, and it is a world dynamic type. It blocks on world static, of course. The rest just overlaps. And it's just world dynamic. Okay. Okay. So how about I create another straightforward preset that will be just called hot air and hot air balloon. I'd rather have multiple presets that have the exact same setup than have one that is named bubble and used in things that are not bubble, and me thinking super hard like, okay, does this preset belong to this weird object? That was the presentation from the guys that made Hogwarts Legacy, and that's the way they went with it, and they said that it really improved their collision workflow, because then what? Because then when level designers, level artists, or whomever is setting up things on level and they are thinking like, what collision should it have? They can just look at the drop-down list that, yes, it contains hundreds of presets, but they are straightforward. If you're working on a door, you're using the preset door. If you're working on a magical wall, you use the preset magical wall. If you're working on a hot air, you're selecting hot air, and shit is done, right? Instead of thinking way too hard. And the other thing that they did, but it required the engine change, is they disabled selection any of those default presets, which is also a cool trick. Dexterowski says, I sent you on Discord some image about volumes. The new one, okay. Let's show it to people. Wait, really? Take a peek at this, guys, if you don't mind. And of course, I should drop the link to Discord. I'm the worst at self-promotion. Dexterowski says, as you can read, I would like to remind you that Unreal developers invented a nice thing to visualize volumes, but they are only in chaos anchor fields. That's great. I love when a great feature is done only for one domain of functionality, and then you have to wait years until it gets to the general engine. That is a so much better way of looking at the volume. Woo! Yeah. So, please, guys from Epic, bring this volume visualization into regular visualization. It would be so lovely. And let me drop a link to the server. Yeah, so as you guys saw from Dexterowski's message, you can visualize volumes better, but only when you are working with chaos anchor fields. Isn't it great? Okay, bubble, blah 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 blah. New hot air, and I only want to have no, both query and physics, because I might be using tick actually. Instead of just overlaps, I think. I don't think it needs description. It is the object type. Can hot air move? No, it is really static, but let's select that it actually ignores everything but world dynamic. It's the only thing that it should affect, at least for now. We'll see. And for another trick of Unreal is that now I won't be able to select this from here. I have to, if I remember correctly, close down that blueprint or something to select it. No, compile it. No, so it's better, because I remember in some version of Unreal, it might have been Unreal Engine 4. You had to restart the whole engine for it to show up, or something like that. You had to do something fucked up for your new collision preset to show up in here. So, hot air, it is world static and it overlaps world dynamic, doesn't block anything, great. it should start. Let's not use none of those things for now. The things that are interesting to me is on component begin overlap. Yeah, I might use tick. I'll be honest. Even tick, and instead of like using overlap for this box, I will just be using it for extents, right? To constantly do a trace, quick trace. And everything that I caught in the trace that should respond to hot air will be pushed up a little bit, right? That's how I see it. Okay. Yeah, because I would need tick event anyway. Yeah, now I'm thinking whether the pushing up logic should be in this actor or every actor that can correspond to hot air should implement it on its own, but it would be the same logic, so no. I think hot air should always be the one telling the actor to move up, right? So okay, let's work with it. First, let's start do the tracing. Or yeah, let's create trace. Yeah. Sphere. Trace overlap. Oh. Wait, I don't get it. What's this function doing? It's just only taking this one component and doing a sphere trace whether it is hitting and receiving location. That's not what I never really used that function. Okay, so sphere overlap actors. I think I just want to have a multi-sphere trace by profile, hot air. Or do I want to have multi-box trace by profile actually? Not sphere. Yeah. Profile name, hot air. Trace complex, actor to ignore. Not really. Actually, I can turn off that debug when I think about that, and I can just visualize the actual trace. So hidden in game is okay. Line thickness, we can go back to 0 once again, and yeah, that should be it. And yeah, we should really just start tracing from. Actually, let's bring this up like 50. Yeah, from like the root of the actor for the extents of the box, really, the Z extent, right? So the starting point should be get actor location, really. And that's the start of it. And the end is really just that. And we are taking the box and we are taking the extent. Get box. What is unscaled box extent? Wait, what? Can I just take that? And why it is 32, 32, and 32? When it is actually 50, 50, 50? Is something weird fucking spinning right now that I will take the box extent, which should be those values, but it is actually showing me these values. Like, will we just discover a new bug or something, or weirdness in Unreal? That is a possibility. Let's split that, and really we just want to add Z. Wait, not what we want to do. Split struct. We just want to add whatever the height of that is here. This is the end of the sphere. Half size, distance from the center of a box along each axis. Orientation is okay. Draw debug. For duration, yeah, whatever. And half size. Can I already get the half size from here? Half size. No. And I can just take, I think, extend. Box extend. Yeah. And just plug it. I guess. I think I'm making a stupid mistake somewhere here. Yeah, let's just start looking at this actor and what does it do? What the hell is this? Oh yeah, and wind related and wind actor base. No, already made a mistake. Hot air base, right? So it should really be tracing once I start simulating. Just this little box, right? And it's doing something weird as I expected. It's tracing a little bit downwards as well. It like does two traces. Interesting. I never really used multi-box trace by profile, I'll be honest, guys. Usually I'm dealing with line traces or sphere traces. First of all, let's do this, and second of all, I think I might have fucked up on that end. I'm not really understanding how anything of that relates to anything, so let's just do it by trial and error. Yeah, as I thought. There would be no trace with that. And okay, it was a matter of drawing distance. I don't really understand why it makes one trace up and one trace down. It should be starting from the bottom here and going up only to here, but it actually goes twice. I officially understand nothing from this multi-box trace. Thank you for not explaining anything. Distance from the center of a box along each axis. I thought that I kind of already provided that, but okay. Because my box is like 50 extent, so it should really be just that. But it does something stupid here. Oh my god, that's not what I wanted. That it creates two traces, and traces that are actually bigger than my box. Let's visualize the box once again. Yeah, that's a part of working with blueprints. Sometimes you think you understand what the parameter is, and then you think like, oh my god, I'm so fucking dumb, and you don't understand. So yeah, there is one trace from the bottom to up, but there's also one trace That it seems like from the center? Or like the one that is like from here and here? I don't really understand that. What is going on in here? What if I actually just provided this? Now we only have one trace. That it starts right where the actor root begins, but it's skewered 25 half size down. Okay, I get what's my mistake. Okay. I was trying to be too clever for my own good. So, my mistake was I moved the whole collision so the root would be down here and I could just do a trace from the root actor upwards and everything would work out. I didn't take into the account that multi-box trace by profile assumes that the root of a box is actually in the center. So that's where this offset comes from. So now if I will just drag my root of a box to the middle, as the assumption goes, it fixes everything. So yeah, there is an assumption that the root of a box is in the center, which is of course mathematically correct assumption. When you're trying to build like a simple box and do a collision check against on it, I try to be too clever for my own good, which is the mistake that I always make, and I'm not sure if I will ever learn this. It seems like it's ingrained with my brain. Okay. Let's. Okay, so we do have our traces. Now I'm curious about one thing. Why setting drawing time to the delta time of event tick makes rendering disappear? It should be like constantly showing up. But whatever, I can just type in 0.1 and it will be great. Or I can type in 33 milliseconds and it should stay for 130 millisecond 30 FPS frame, which of course I have more of. So it will stay for longer and it will be blinking a little bit. It's actually fucked up. I hate looking at it, so let's put in like 0.1. I don't like this blinking thing. Alright, so now we know that, you know, we have something to detect our hot air. Sorry for being slow. I'm just really tired. And my brain doesn't work that well. So here's the live lesson why you shouldn't overwork yourself. Because then you're hitting diminishing returns. You're working, but you're making way more errors. Which in the end costs more and more time. Okay, yeah, so now hot air balloon, which doesn't belong into any category, maybe to wind related. So actor, and it is BP hot air balloon base. The representation will be extremely simple. It will be just two boxes, and one of these boxes will be blowing up, kinda like a balloon, right? Or maybe we'll make it even. I mean, let's take a peek at it from the collision perspective. So box collision, it's supposed to be walkable box collision, right? So That should be block all. But actually, should I be able to walk on it? If it's not filled by hot air? Yeah, let's say magically I would be able to walk on it. Like it stays in air and it needs to have hot air to be pushed upwards, right? Yeah, let's say that this is the shit that we need to do. Okay. So, this is our box, this is our collision. It has setting of, I want it to be meter by meter. Once again, for scaling, it will be easier. Yeah, and now let's add actually maybe more like a sphere actually. Maybe I want to increase like whole sphere. And here. And sphere is 1 meter by 1 meter. At least here. And I want to have no collision because when I will be walking on it, I want to walk on it. It's fucked up. I should just model like a balloon or whatever. Or I can just, you know, add like a cube in here and just scale it. And Z for sure. Move it upwards. Yeah, our hot air balloon. No, that looks too fucked up for me. I wanna do like ugly placeholder graphics, but that is just way too fucked up. So this is a cube. It should be a little bit smaller. Or no, actually, let's have it 1 by 1. And the base of the whole hot air balloon, so it is like actually balloon mesh. And like a balloon base would also be, that may be a sphere. Balloon base and balloon mesh. Why am I doing this as a separate box and balloon mesh? Well, because I can pretty much imagine at some point the balloon mesh won't be a box and I still want to work on box collision, right? No collision. Let's move this thing all down. And make it like way smaller on all axes. Yeah. And actually, I want this to be a touch. So when I will be increasing it, once it is being filled with hot air, I want the box collision to scale up a little bit, right? So for example, let's say it will quickly go from 1 to 2. And oh shit. It also would need to move up a little bit, really? Oh my god. Yeah, whatever. That's the visualization logic that needs to be fixed later. Probably. Yeah. It will be fixed later. Couldn't care less for now, and let's maybe create like a simple material for that. So, cosmetics, hot air balloon. I actually hate my decision that I decided to move like materials and everything somewhere else. If I will be, and I will be at some point, cleaning up this project a little bit, I will be rearranging some things. But for now, let's keep it consistent. Material M Let's create like a simple material. Or maybe, wait, maybe there already is like a rubber material. Let's see. Rubber? No. Yeah, so let's create like a simple material that we'll just have. Base color. That we will, I don't know why I'm gravitating towards this kind of color for balloon, but let it be. Not too much roughness actually. And yeah, let it have 0 specular. That's it, really. Huh. Okay. Create instance. Okay, let me just use that thing here on this and this, and we have our hot air balloon. Its only function is to be hit by our hot air stream, right? So let's actually create an interface for everything that could be interacted with by hot air, right? So blueprint, wind related, PI wind affected. Let's add new interface. That's not how you do it. Blueprint interface, BI hot air affected. And why interfaces? Well, because then I don't have to really use casting to call a function. I could use tags to detect like whether the actor is interactable with via hot air, but if I use interface, I get 2 of those things out of the gate. I don't care what object it is, I can just call a function on it, and then the object itself implements the logic that it needs to be implemented if it is affected by hot air, which in case of hot air balloon will be the logic of scaling up the collision and visuals. And yeah, so I don't have to do cast to call a function, and I already, when I'm calling a function on interface, the engine does a check for me if it contains interface, so I don't even have to check whether it implements the interface. I can just straight up call it, and the check is underneath the hood. So we'll call it hot. Wait, why am I doing new function? I can just do this. Hot air tick. Yeah, and another function will be on hot air enter. And another function on hot air leave. Quite simple interface function. Now our quite simple interface. Dexterowski says, "Oh, I didn't know about it. About the interface, blueprint interface. Yeah, it's when it comes, if you have to work with blueprints or you self-impose it like me, that's like a really good thing to do because it declutters the blueprints from all the casts, which also creates like a hard reference, which means that whatever you're casting in your object will automatically get loaded into the memory, which might be something that you don't want. right? For example, if you want to check against 15 different types only to call one function on specific type, those 15 objects will be that you're casting to will be loaded into memory, right? So that's a save. And underneath the hood, yeah, the check whether the interface is there and the function could be called is done underneath the hood. I'm not sure if it works like that in C++. I think with C++ interface, it's more like you have to cast it to that interface and then call a function, right? So you do have to do a cast, you do have to do an if the cast got through, but that cast doesn't create a hard reference, if I remember correctly. In CPP, if I want to call, Dexterowski says, in CPP, if I want to call something in the interface, I must cast to it earlier. Exactly, yeah. So in C++, you have to do it, but it's relatively cheap and you don't load that into memory, I think. You might load the base class that you're of the interface to memory, but you already would be using it anyway, so that's a cost you will have. Okay, so I need none of that. Actually, I want to disable tick on it. Why the fuck would I need a tick? Start with tick enabled. No. I don't need any ticking here. In this class. I only need to implement interface hot air. Affected. I get those three functions. I won't be using hot air tick. I will be using on hot enter and hot air leave, right? Nicely that they added those icons. Nice of them. To differentiate between events that you created for this blueprints or you have inherited from something versus interface event. Just by eyeballing it, you can see what's what. All right. So really, I just want a timeline component, which I don't like. Fuck. Timeline. Where's this other add timeline? Mother. Size change. Timeline. I don't like timeline component, but for blueprint prototyping a quick animation, this is like the quickest way I could prototype something. For the actor, if I want to create an animation that could be reused by different actor and components, etc., as I was kinda experimenting with a couple of streams earlier, when I was trying to find a good workflow for, hey, let's create an animation for a specific static mesh and reuse it. You could try to use level sequence or just convert it to skeletal mesh and animate it. Which right now would be like, okay, I need to take this mesh and probably join together with the other mesh, make it a skeletal mesh, animate it and re-export it, blah blah blah. A lot of work for a simple prototype, right? That I just want to see if it works, right? But for the shippable game, etc., I would avoid timeline like all living hell, because it doesn't scale up when you have lots of actors, lots of different timelines, and all of them are ticking. And I think timeline might actually not work when the tick enabled is off. Another cost, you have to have tick enabled, so okay. So on hot air enter, you just play from the start or just play. And on hot air leave, you just reverse, right? Now, let's create a track at one float track. Let's name it normalized box scale change. It should be quick, like, I don't know, like half a second actually. 500 milliseconds, right? And yeah. And another, actually, I will try to do it, is local space box offset, because I'm not only want to increase the balloon but also move it a little bit up, so my balloon won't overlap the base of the whole thing, right? It will be those three, because I'm not really sure how far I should move it up. Local space. Actually, I just only need z-axis. So I fucked that up. But whatever. So yeah, zoom to fit vertical, zoom to fit horizontal. Great, great, great. I don't have to synchronize the view at all. And add key 0. It will be going from, and value is 1. And at the end, of course, which is 0.5. I want this to scale up like 2 times, right? That's it. And the offset, actually, I'm not sure what should be the offset. Okay, let's increase that 2 times in size. And what kind of offset do we need? Let's start offsetting by eyeballing it. Yeah, around like 50 local space units. Seems alright. Yep. And yeah. Let's get back to the timeline. So here only show Z curve. Why can I only... Okay, no, fuck it. Can I delete this thing? Thank you. Float Z axis box local space offset. And here at key, I wanna do 0. And the value is 0. And here at the end, time is 0.5, but the value is 50, right? All right. Why is it synchronized? I specifically said that I don't want it to be synchronized. One of those things. Okay, so when we enter the hot air balloon, yeah, I should really just take the box. Set local. Wait. Scale. Set relative scale. 3D. That's exactly what I want to do. I think. Also, one neat thing about the interface. Let me turn on the interface once again. Can I make it so it is callable in editor? Yes, because I then can just test whether this whole timeline works, etc. just in simulation mode without any actual gameplay, etc. Mm. Yeah, and now depending on the direction. Oh. Switch. That's actually what we want. And I can just do it in sequence. Fuck that. Do this first. And then do this. And if we are moving forward in direction, we are adding local space offset, and backward we are removing, right? So yeah. Box offset, add local offset, right, to the scene component. Sweep, teleport, no, not really. If we are moving forward, then just split destruct. Oh my god, I hate when this. Oh my god, I hate it when it happens. When you enlarge the box and it suddenly starts going over those things, right? Other smaller elements of graph. Okay, and pick. Actually, I could do it without switch. When I think about that, we can just go like that, multiply, and he'll be either 1 or -1, right? So select float, right? 1, -1. And if direction is equal forward, then multiply it by 1. If it is not, then multiply by -1. You don't need that. Then I can just go straight to here and declutter this space and just plug it in here, and boom, we can select a way of going about it here. So now I can just do this simple thing of like, hey, for testing, not air balloon base, right? I can just put it in here, turn on the simulation. I can get into details, click on hot enter, on hot air leave, and I can immediately see that no, it is not working, because yeah, and I see exactly why it's not working. And if I call it multiple times, so it enters. Huh. Okay, a couple of errors in here. First of all, we need a logical boolean, of course, which is like b is full size. Oh my god. That will be get. It will be, of course, false by default. That true. Oh, wait a second. If it finished and I don't know which direction it was going, I'm not really sure what is going on. But I can just go, you know, like finished. Yeah, finished branch. I can just take this box collision, get scale, get relative scale 3D, and I can just make it equal. What the fuck is this? Oh, they already added like a float precision here? I don't remember if it was here previously. Or you had to call it like something else or whatever. I don't remember really. But yeah, 2, 2, 2. And if after everything has been finished, it is true, then actually I can just go like this. even more simpler. At the end, let's see if this is equal to 2. If it is equal to 2 with like a, I don't know, 0.1 precision, then it is full size. If it is not, then we actually went down from the whole thing, right? So if this thing gets cold, we are in hot air, and for some reason there's like another stream of hot air somewhere, just don't play anything, right? If it is full size, just don't play anything. Only do it if it is not full size, and similar logic. Only do it if it is full size, actually. That's one way of fixing one error in this. Error, for Polish person, saying error is nightmare. Error. Right? Yep. And hotter leaf. But the one thing I haven't taken into the account is, yeah, I'm moving it in Z-axis while also scaling the box. So constantly my local space offset is getting bigger and bigger. So that's not the number to increase it with, that's the number to hit, right? Like I want this to be maximum at 50Z, right? So what I actually want to do is let me take a box, let me take local of relative location, right? Because it is, if I remember correctly, in the center, right? So if it hits Z, don't do fucking anything. Z50, don't do anything. Let's track, and once again, I hate when it does this. Okay, so now we have Z. I can make it so if that is greater or equal, because it might go a little bit over Z by like 0.2. Then don't do it. Am I doing this shit right, actually? Only if it is smaller than this. Other than that, just set it to 50. Set relative location. So clamp it to like 50 basically. After that, let's see if it will work out. Actually, it kinda did. It still looks fucked up a little bit. And it doesn't come back the way it's supposed to the 0, 0. So going back doesn't really work that much. And I wonder why. Ah, because of that. Okay, because we are setting relative location and that's it. So it should be done a little bit differently. Yeah, I have to do it a little bit differently. Not that way. We should add local offset and clamp it. Clamp the location, right? Between 50 and 0, and that's it. Really. Yeah, so the only thing I really should be doing here is like get box, get relative location, right? No rotation. God damn it. Get relative location. And let's do a clamp. What do you mean vector clamp size? Okay, fuck it. Split struct. Can I just do a clamp on Z? Clamp. Oh, that's how it works. Okay. 50. But wait, what? What is the VM function float clamp? What the fuck is this? I just want to clamp. Clamp float. What the fuck? Between 0 and 50. That auto search didn't work that much. Right? And now I want to do like a set relative location. And this is the clamp location. Yeah, and that's it. Like, let's freaking do it. It should, oh my god. It should work out. Yeah, there's like weird movement to it, but whatever. The whole thing works out. Now, on the hot air thing, just for each loop, and just call actually I kind of want to track what got in, what got out. So maybe I should have used the on box overlap, and that should be used only for like hot. Wait, what? Ah, of course, because this is that break hit. This is hit results, and here's when we want to go like hot air tick. This is where the tick would be happening for anything that implements tick, right? And I just realized that, yeah, in order to call the enter leave from here, I would have to like keep track of that shit, etc. Nah, fuck it. That was a wrong decision of mine at the beginning, but whatever. Other things, if they would need hot air tick for some reason, they would be able to use it. And I'm sure that I will come up with some idea for that. So now, blah blah blah, on component begin and end overlap. And other actor is hot air enter, hot air leave. Should be simple enough and should kind of work. Ah, yeah, I will need not hot air tick in here, but I would need like constantly move the thing up, because I forgot that I also want to move the whole balloon up. That was the whole point of it, right? So, and then the goddamn flame should spawn the hot air, right? And resize it according to the size of the flame. So still a little bit of work cut out in front of us. Okay, now nothing happens and nothing happened. Why? Does that thing even get called? Is there like an overlap? Like, what is going on? No, no overlap. Did I mess up those settings? No, world dynamic. I did mess up settings. Because my collision here is block all. It's not world dynamic. God damn it, I fell in my own trap. I should have listened to myself. Which is why I think even when you are a solo developer, you're working in a team with your future and past self. Now let's fix that. Let's add the preset because that's what's been missing here. The preset for hot air balloon. Hot air balloon. Which has query and physics. It could do both, but it is world dynamic. And yeah, it fucking blocks everything. Now let's get back to my hot air balloon base. Hot air balloon. It is world dynamic. Now my overlap should be detected. Oh my god, I need to move it here. Yep, it gets called. I don't know what this green... Ah, it shows the collision, where it is detecting the collision and... Okay, so we got that thing. And now let's implement the logic of pushing things up. I could do it in that way that every object on its own decides how it moves up when the hot air ticks, right? Because I have hot air tick. But at least for now, I'm thinking that every object that will be hit by hot stream of air is most probably already moving in the exact same way. So I don't see like there will be lots of more custom logic for a actor when it comes to moving up. But if there is, then I will revise my decision. And I'm leaving the hot air tick for like super custom shit. Not moving up, but increasing the temperature or something like that. Although I'm thinking right now, could I implement... I actually never did that. Default implementation for the interface? Can I do it? No, I can't. I kinda can't. That's the one thing that actually you can do in CPP. So I cannot do a default implementation because I just thought if I could just do a default implementation when I would be just taking the owner of this interface, which is the actor, and just moving it up, it would be perfect. I could just do it here and fuck it, we got it, right? But in these blueprints, I don't think you can. Can you? Deprecate, generate cons class. What? I don't understand what const class means in the aspect of blueprint. Namespaces, no, none of that. But actually, and Dexterski says it's not C#. Yep. If I remember correctly, some of newer versions of C# allow default implementation. But I think even in C++ for interfaces, I did some default implementations that were basically saying that this is a pure virtual function and it shouldn't be called, etc., etc. So no one will actually call the default implementation. But it's been like 3 years since I remember I was doing that logic for the day job, because we don't use, for the things that I worked on, I only use like interface for one feature in C++, and the rest of it is gameplayability system based, so tags, etc., etc., calling on some gameplay effect and shit like that. But hey, how about we ask the LLM from the Epic Games? It will be funny. Dexterowski says, I don't think there is a possibility in CPP for default implementations in interfaces. But what about Unreal interfaces? Like, I have a memory of doing that, but maybe I was doing something fucked up and hacky. That is a big possibility. So, tell me about Blueprint and C++ interfaces. Could I create default implementations for those? I might have been doing something fucked up and hacky there. There's a chance. Unreal interfaces. Oh, there's just a documentation. Oh, there's documentation for something. And if you are a Unity developer watching this, and you'll be like, of course, there should be a documentation for everything. This is Unreal World. If you have a documentation for something and it is legit and up to date, then you're lucky. Let's see. Blueprint interfaces define only signatures. Yes, they cannot contain default implementations. The blueprint, blah blah blah. Create a parent blueprint class implementing the interface with default behavior type. Nah, that's fucked up. I would never do this, because the whole thing of the interface you can use it in is that you can use it for different classes without creating an inheritance nightmare. By default, pure virtual functions do not support default implementation. But with Blueprint native event, you can't provide. That's what I was doing. That's what I was doing in the interface. I think I was doing Blueprint native events implementations. Maybe. But we will confirm if it is actually true with the documentation of theirs, right? Because LLM might be bullshitting. Dexterowski says, I don't think there's a and I also think it is not a good idea to ask AI Epic Thing anything. Yeah, of course. Like, never take any LLM, whatever any LLM says at the face value. I use it mostly as a searcher. Like, okay, he is telling me something. Oh, there's the documentation. Let me see. Because Google search right now is shit. So it is better at searching things. But still never take it at face value. The amount of people that are taking things that any AI is saying to anyone at face value and don't fact check it is disturbing, and I think it will lead to big problems in companies. Not only game dev companies, but all companies, especially all those CEOs that are drunk with power, because now with the AI they think that they can be better than like professionals. Like, okay, maybe you can do a couple of things that you couldn't do before, but I don't think it can supplement the experience. Dexterovsky said, I would ask anything, but not their AI. Damn, did you try it and it lead you down astray, or it is just the lack of faith in the Epic's LLM? On my end, when I was trying it out, it provided like couple of better answers than Gemini or ChatGPT, because mostly when I tried asking ChatGPT or Gemini for some more complicated shit for Epic for the day job, it wasn't really doing things, and I was way better off just looking through the code, right? And with the Epic AI, it sometimes provided a better answer, but still I don't really use it on a daily basis, because at least for the things that I'm doing right now at the day job. Vexelovsky says, I saw 10-minute video destroying it. How bad it is. Oh, please do tell. Please do tell. Did I unlocked linking in the comments? I probably did, but there's like probably some other things that are blocking comments. But please do upload this on Discord. I would really be interested in seeing this video in free time that I don't really have, but sometimes I go to toilet. Unreal interfaces. Why would I want ever this shit in Polish language? They are doing machine translation to Polish anyway, so it sucks. React trigger, blah blah. Declare an interface. Blah blah blah. Class C++ wizard. Interface declaration example. Okay, yes, I just remembered what I was doing at the day job when I thought that I'm providing the default implementation. I was implementing an interface in the base class of something and providing default implementation there that was basically saying either doing something for like a default implementation or pure virtual macro, etc, etc. That's what I was doing. So yeah, yes, you're right. You cannot do this. That's what I was doing. And I think what AI said here, that you can provide interface implementation if it is Blueprint native event, I don't believe it. Wait, but they are saying that you can provide default implementation, either within the header itself or within the interface CPP. So maybe I did this. I would have to turn on the repository from day job, but then I would be fired in a second. So I won't do this. And it's been 3 years since I was doing this, interfacing with that. So yeah, you can actually. You see how AI lied to me? It was like, oh, you cannot unless you do this, and you look at it and it's like, no, actually if you create an interface that derives from their Unreal interface, you can do it. And then in derived classes, of course, you can do shit. And with the blueprint implementable, you can do it as well. Yeah, so it seems like you can do it. I'm glad to check that. And as we could see, AI was fucking lying to us and was being a little bitch. So yeah. The only thing that it provided was the link to the documentation. So fuck that. Okay, let's see. I tried thing. Okay, so Dexterovsky here sent the link, and I hope I can send it here. Yes, I can. I tried the new Unreal Engine 5.7 AI assistant, so you don't have to. It is actually 17 minutes. Video for Unreal Engine starts at 7. Yep. I will gladly check that out. All right. So getting back to what the fuck I was doing, I'm gonna reserve hot air tick function for whatever the fuck might need it, but then I also wanna now I do have to check for implement interface and select hot air affected, because you know the way the profile collision profile is set up is that any world dynamic could start moving up. So for example, projectile, etc, etc. And I only really want to move something that has this interface. So this is like the thing that I have to do. I'm tempted to just do this moving up logic on hot air and then copy and paste it to like something else, or maybe do like a library, blueprint library that will do a static function and will start moving something upwards. But nah, fuck it. It is way too much overthinking for this simple shit. If it turns out that that implementation is way too cluttery, that's when I will fix that, because I might overthink it and do a mistake once again. So as long as it is, what is the logic that we want to have in our hot air thing? Well, first of all, if it is for example scaled up like 60, so we have 60 meters, right, in both directions, so it is actually 120, so 30, right? I think, yeah, so it is big like that. For example, I want this to be constantly moving up until it leaves, basically. Yeah. And then whatever the fucking logic of gravity or whatever is there, I want it to stop. The object itself should detect whether it should stop moving up and it got to the max height or whatever. Neutrino Vibe is here. Hi! How are you doing? And Neutrino Vibe got a question for us. There's a landscape auto materials where textures are generated by the height of the terrain. Question: how to put the zero level of the height of another? That is instead of z equals 0, z equals 1000. Wait, let me read that again. I'm not sure if I fully comprehended. Landscape auto materials, okay, where textures are generated by the height of the terrain. So you're using height map of the terrain. You have a landscape and you have a height of the landscape, and that gets pushed to the texture, right? That is auto-generated with the auto material. The question is how to put the zero level of the height of another, that is instead of z equals 0, z equals 1000. I'm not really sure if I understand the questions. Like, for example, you have the height of the actual landscape 0, but you wanna kinda sidestep it and say, no, in this point I actually want it to be 1000, even though the landscape is at 0. But in my material, I want this to be read as 1000, and whatever the auto material is doing further, it is doing on that information. Is my assumption correct? That that's kind of what you want to do? Like for some specific places, you want to ignore the actual landscape height and provide your own height. Am I correct? An assumption in your question? Okay, okay. If I remember correctly, um, let me think. Is there even a way of doing this? If I remember correctly, you have to do something with the auto material itself. Like, let me quickly remind myself of and do it publicly. Landscape auto material, of course UE5. Landscape materials, blah blah blah. If I remember correctly, which landscape auto material are you using? Are you using something from a plugin? Because if it is a plugin, that I cannot really speak for that. But if I remember correctly, like if you have material and you have like your landscape coordinate, landscape height, etc., you could maybe, like, depending on which UV you hit, do like a switch in the material and provide your own height based on that, if I remember correctly. Or the thing that I would explore, I'm not a tech artist, so you know, that's why I'm struggling a little bit with question. You could maybe do like a landscape layer where you will hand paint what kind of height you want to have there and read from that instead of just from the landscape itself in the material editor, right? Those are two things that I would pursue. Either like check the UV if you have specific spot, but that would be like super hard to do. Like I would look into like painting landscape layer by hand, reading from that, and do like a switch. If you have any non-zero information in that layer, use the information from that layer. If there's nothing painted there, use the actual height of a landscape. That's the kind of logic I would probably try to pursue for the auto material. But if you're using something from some kind of plugin, that I would have to get to know this plugin in order to answer anything. Wait, landscape hole materials. Yeah, I also looking at this documentation, which let me quickly paste in here. I would also maybe try to take the logic of creating landscape hole materials and adjust it for the landscape height, because it seems like something that you might wanna, you know, like this is a similar logic. Like, okay, wherever I painted, omit whatever the fuck was there and make the terrain invisible, so instead you could just use your own values instead of landscape height. Did that answer your question? Neutrino Vibe says, this seems to be the answer to my questions. Thank you. No problem, man. No problem. If you have further questions, I will gladly, you know, explore that with you, even if I don't know the answer. No problem. What are you working on, Neutrino Vibe? Apart from, you know, the landscape, like, is it like a game or like some visualization or some ArcVis or something? Okay, now let me implement the logic that I wanted to do here, because I got only 40 minutes of stream, so like whoa. And I thought that I would be making 2 gameplay mechanics today, and how naive I am. Okay, so and I still need to spawn the hot air base. I for sure won't be doing any Niagaras today. I have to do one stream when I will be taking a look at every goddamn actor I have in game and every feature that is lacking the Niagara placeholder visualization, ugly visualization, and just do Niagaras all fucking stream. So okay, I have a hit actor. What else do I need to really do with it, and other than just add offset, and that's it. Vertical upward speed, and it will be just a float because I don't really will do X and Y in any way, shape, or form, right? I don't know. Let's do like 100 units per second. That might be okay, right? And we just need to then... Oh my god, the delta is so far along. One thing in hot air tick, I just realized that. Can I open like the... I wish I could just open... Oh, I can! Nice. Input, let me fix that if I'm already here. Delta time. Float, right? And let's get back to here. No, here. And now yeah, just multiply my speed by whatever the delta time is right now, and this is my offset, delta offset in local freaking thing. Add local offset. Yeah, let's do a sweep here because I might hit something there, but that's the basic logic, I think. And once it leaves the thing, it will stop being pushed upwards, right? I think it's that simple. Let's simulate this. And my hot air logic is messed up. That's great. That's great to know. Why? Even though the whole thing is like that, let me quickly visualize my box collision. Could you compile? Thank you. And my scale didn't matter at all here. Neutrino Vibes answers my question about what is he working on right now. He says, I create games for myself. It's a hobby. That's a great hobby to have. What is your goal for using the Unreal Engine today? I'm prototyping mechanics for the game that I'm making here on stream. I do have a day job in game development, when I'm working as a C++ gameplay programmer. So there's like only a finite set amount of things that I do get to integrate with, interact with Unreal Engine 5, and you know, I just want to explore things outside of that and learn a little bit more about game design, so eventually I could, you know, release maybe some game, right? And learn more about blueprint scripting, learn more about tech art, etc. Because doing C++ gameplay code is, you know, the only thing that I really do at the day job, and optimizations, etc., etc. But those like day-to-day editor usages, etc., like I mostly explore here on stream. So, you know, I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone and learn things outside of my area of day job, and eventually at some point, I don't know when, release, you know, like my own game or something like that, right? Not for monetary purposes, because it probably won't sell that well, but you know, just to have that, right? Hey, I made a game, I released it, and it's actually quite fun, right? So exploring all of things outside of day job is part of the thing that I'm trying to do. And also, the message of this stream is doing things like the real way, the honest way, without like preparation beforehand and then showing up to stream and doing everything perfectly without an error and creating like a false image, etc. No, if I don't know something or I'm integrating with the new plugin, I will face the exact same problems as you would if you turn that on, right? And I want to get through those problems. So if you're watching, you'll be like, oh shit, that's how you overcome this. Okay, this is a nice checkbox to have, etc., etc., which sometimes gets omitted in like tutorials and shit. So that's kind of like the theme of those streams. Like, okay, sometimes I might be struggling for 2 hours with like some bullshit, but everyone is, right? So why hide it when this is a part of the hobby or the job, right? But today I'm prototyping like more mechanics for my game when I'm shooting arrows and solving logical puzzles by affecting the world with my arrows. It might not be a very playable game, but I have fun making it, and putting myself in this design box forces me to think outside of just copying ideas from other games, right? It forces me to be creative. Which is nice. Sometimes hard because, you know, the older you get, the harder it is to get outside of your comfort zone, but I like it. Now, as you can see, I have a problem because I have a collision that is supposed to work like a hot air, but once I scaled it up, it just stops working, and I have to understand why. Get scaled box extend. I think that's what I need to do, right? Actually, that should be what I probably should have connected here. The whole engine crashed once I... This is the first crash in a long time that we had here. And I'm not even sure why it crashed. Ha! That's great. Okay, let's turn that on again. That's great. And I still haven't merged to 5.7. Oh. Yeah, let's restore it. "19 assets have been opened up. I'm sure as hell use all the old 19. I don't use that, blah blah blah. Let me just click on everything until I just am left with 2 things that I'm using. Okay, so that should crash the whole engine. So sure as hell, probably it is like completely fucked up scale. So So there's definitely something up here, but I guess I can just calculate it myself. I can just be like, hey, get scale, get not even relative scale. I just want to have the world scale of, actually maybe not even the box, maybe the whole default scene route, right? Because that's what I scaled, or what the hell I scaled. Oh, I fucked up on that whole thing. Because I don't really want to use scale for the whole operation, right? I only really want to use changing the box extent. Okay. That was my error on my end. Let's bring back the logic that was here, right? Because the idea is that once flames will be spawning that, they will be taking their own scale into the account, but they will be directly setting the extents of the box, right? So the actor stays the same, the scale stays the same, but the extents are like, okay, now it's just like 400 by 400, and it's that, right? Sorry. That's why I want to kind of have the root here, but yeah. And I can still have it, actually. Let me fix that. I can still move the box up by 25, or sorry, by 50. And I can still have a scene root at the bottom of this, so when I will be spawning it, it will be going from here upwards, and I don't have to do like weird adjustments in here, but I could just get the box, get world location, and use that. And that way I will have everything I need, because multi-box trace by profile assumes the root of the box is in the middle of it for all the half size etc to work. So now I'm providing the exact thing, the middle of the box, while still having the root of the actor being at the bottom of the box, so my spawning will not be terrible to handle and will require more. Yeah, and now it is working. It is moving upwards slowly. But still, it is moving upwards. Nicely done. Nice job. And what else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Yeah, I think it's alright. Everything is alright. With that, I just really need to have my flame start spawning those actors. And here's the problem. All those actors are freaking ticking, right? So that's why if I was doing it in C++, I'd rather have a like subsystem with one actor for spawning collisions, right? And I'd rather, you know, like if I have this situation where all of those flames would be, you know, when they become fully grown, spawn those collisions, and they are all of them ticking, instead of like each one of them spawning one collision, I would create one large collision. I would add like a system for detection. Hey, maybe I already have a hot air collision super close. Maybe I could just extend that instead of like adding a new one, right? So yeah, I am. This will be a performance killer. When each flame, once fully grown, will start spawning hot air balloons. So what else could I do? Like immediately, when I know it will be a... It will be a killer, right? I could, instead of like subsystem, I could create a actor that will be a manager working kind of like a subsystem, and that would be spawning the hot air. But I have another problem with that, is that it means that in every level that will use this mechanic, I have to manually add this actor in. And not only that, in order to call to it, I would have to constantly do checks, get the actor from the world. Yeah, it's fucked up. So there's another way I could do it. I have my own game state. It could always spawn this actor in and have an interface to get this actor, so I wouldn't have to go through all the actors. Dexterovsky asks, what are we considering? I was making sandwiches. Basically, I am trying to make my hot air not be a performance killer, because right now each hot air actor is basically ticking, right, in order to move my hot air balloons up, right? But for some reason they stopped scaling. Yeah, because it's already inside of it. So let's do the full simulation. It's here. It is opening up. It is going up. Great. But now imagine all of those flames spawning all of those ticking actors, right? It is a performance killer. And the whole level will be flame based. So I'm just considering how without subsystem I could optimize it. So instead of having like thousands of actors, I will have one that will some kind of system that will contain just my collisions, will be detecting them, using those collisions or traces or whatever will be, so it will be just maybe like one actor ticking with lots of collisions instead of like millions actor or traces, actually, instead of like million actors ticking, right? Which is basically me regretting decision that I won't allow myself to use C++ for that. So that's what I'm considering, right? Because it will be a performance killer. And we can actually try that. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this today. Maybe I'm overthinking once again. But that overthinking comes... Dexterovsky says, but how do you want to move something without a tick? No, I want to have tick. But I want to have one actor with one tick instead of 1,000 actors with 1,000 ticks. Basically, what I'm thinking about is changing my hot air actor to be like, hey, there is yeah, maybe let me explain the situation differently. What I would do is I would have access to subsystems, right? Basically, my subsystem would have a tick, and whenever something would spawn, want to create like a hot air, my subsystem would get like, hey, register hot air, right? Air, and here are the extents, right, of this hot or air, whatever, right? And subsystem would be like, okay, I have like array of data about hot air. In tick, I'm just going in a for loop by each of those data and just doing a simple like a trace, and whatever it is detecting, on tick, it is getting moved upwards, right? Let me take a quick pic, because I got some important message on phone. Okay. Okay, it's something to consider for later. I still got 20 minutes of that. So, yeah, that's how I would be doing it, right? So I would not even have an actor. I would have subsystem with the tick that would be calling traces and moving things up, right? So there's one tick, lots of traces, but still you could like do asynchronous traces or whatever per each actor and move them up, right? I don't have access to it in C++. So right now I'm considering how could I do it without having a subsystem. So the only way I'm thinking about is like, okay, I have a game state, my own custom game state for my game, for the project that I kind of forgot how it is being named. I think it was like, and I forgot why it is, primary action development or whatever. Yeah. Lekserovsky says, I have my physics interactable actor, but I am enabling disabling tick when it gets into sleep. Yeah, for physics, it's great. The problem with here I have is, or maybe not. No, it is I do have a problem because, okay, let's say I turn off the ticking and collision for the actor, right? Once nothing is in it. But how do I detect where something gets back to this actor once again, right? Actually, I can turn off the ticking, but I can leave the onBegin component overlap because that would still be working. Yeah, I am once again overthinking it. Yeah, it is as simple as that. Thank you, Dexterovsky. You just got me back to the right track. Yes, exactly. Nexerovsky says disabling ticking doesn't disable overlaps. Yes, and that's something that I haven't considered and forgot about. So yeah, basically, if we start tracing and we have nothing really, we can disable tick. We have no objects, right? So it's like, or should I go with this? If there are any objects, just do the regular logic, right? If there are no objects, what the? What is the name of the blueprint function that turns off tick? Set tick enabled. Okay, I have it. And set this to not be enabled, right? But I might have more than, actually I might have actors that are dynamic. They do get detected in hits, but they are not having this interface. Ah shit, so there might be more to consider. Yeah, I could have created like my own physics type for things that are interactable with hot air, but that would also be problematic. Yeah. Dexterowski says, but also I don't know why tech is so expensive in this engine. There is this thing called let me quickly find it. Automatic tick batching. Ah, god damn it. It is behind the paywall. Yeah, it is behind the paywall. Let me show you what I'm looking at. Tom Luhmann has in his course something about automatic tick batching, right? And basically, lots of time while doing ticks is spent on basically moving things into cache memory of processor and out of cache memory of processor. Things aren't automatically aligned in such way, so when you are ticking objects, all of the ticking objects that will be ticking, that should be ticking, you know, right after each other, they will be loaded into cache, so you won't be wasting time with all the cache misses, right? So there is this thing called automatic tick batching that you can turn on in the engine. Actually, it might be... I might not have it because it is 5.6. Tick batch. No. Can blueprint stick by default? Oh, tick physics async. Okay. Nah, 5.6 doesn't have it, I think. Or maybe it is like a plugin or something. No. But basically it allows to save you some time with ticking. I know that they did this by hand because it wasn't in the engine back then in Sea of Thieves. And it saved them a lot of time with ticking because all the things that should be grouped together for tick are loaded in, all the tick functions are loaded into cache memory and just being ticked without any cache misses. It's constantly loading and unloading. There's also virtual machine call for tick, but that is not that expensive. And especially when you're moving something on tick, it is expensive because for some reason, I don't fully grasp yet why, but when you have a hierarchy of components in your actor and you start moving that thing, it becomes nightmare for Unreal and it gets slow as hell. Even though there are some optimizations that are trying to like calculate how far the main actor is being moved, and only after everything has been done in a tick, move all the components with the actor, attach components and actors to the main moved actor. It still doesn't work that well for some reason. There were like community fixes for that, like some fast path, movement fast path. But yeah, that's also one of the reasons why tick can be slow. Especially if you're moving a lot of actors at the same time and all of them have deeply nested hierarchy. It can be a big pain in the ass. Dexterowski says, wait a minute, all blueprints have tick enabled by default? Yeah, that's the default engine setting. Dexterowski says, oh, so my doors are fucked up. It might be. It depends on how many of you have them. And if it is an empty tick, I think there is some optimization there under the hood. But yeah. I can do for now that, hey, if you're detecting nothing, you know, set tick actor enabled false, and if something overlaps, I can just go this. Is actor enabled? Okay, my pen was interacting with my touchpad and moving my mouse. And if it is, of course, false, then I'm setting the tick, right? If something overlapped, if anything overlapped, right? So but that logic is faulty out of the get-go, because that trace will also get hits on anything that is world dynamic, right? So if my arrow goes through it, it will turn on the tick and it will turn it off in a second, right? After trace will start leaving. After trace will result nothing, will return nothing, which most cases will be okay. The only problem would be if something was constantly in this collision that is dynamic and it's not moving, then it will be constantly tracing, etc, etc. But which actually might be the case here, because I have those fucking bubbles here. And I guess their sphere collision is water dynamic. So immediately I'm hitting that case where, yep, those flames, all of them will be ticking, because they will be overlapping with those bubbles. So the actual logic here should be like, also go through all those hits, count how many of them are hot air affected. If none of them are hot affected, that's where you turn off the tick, right? Once something starts overlapping, then we can turn on tick. But it's also like, suddenly ticks will be turned on and off for lots of objects. Shit, I hate that. There's also like a quicker fix for now. I can just take all of these objects, right, and just move them up. So when I start spawning those hot air bubbles, hot air volumes, they won't hit D. That is my fix for now. It's shitty, but I have to think a little bit about, okay, how to implement it more tick friendly. So yeah, now I got 8 minutes, so how about we add the logic to flame that has fully grown. So I guess it would be that. So if I just spawn flame cylinder, that's not the logic. Skip to fully grown. Do I have like on fully grown event or something like this? Spawn flames, flame growing, on growing tick, event tick, fully grown. Tick is enabled. Okay, I can just hit here and I can actually fully grown, on fully grown, I can create an event. So because more things might start on fully grown. Try to execute some logic for that. I can call it on tick, on fully grown, and move the logic of that in here, and execute my own logic, which would be, and also call it with skipping to fully grown. Right. Okay, and And fully grown, set actor tick enabled. Yeah, so what do I need to do now? I kind of spaced out, sorry. Yes, spawn actor from class, BP hot air base, get actor location or transform really. Always spawn ignore collisions. Yeah, it can have an owner. And the one thing that I want to do after spawning, of course, we'll see if it is valid, because for some reason it might not have spawned, and I need to add this to hot air, is to have a function for set extents, right? On box. So yeah, input in new extents vector and set extent. Or you know what? Nah, fuck that. Yeah, because we'll be bullshitting with that. Instead, I have a base class. Let's create like child blueprint class BA hot air base hot air from fully grown flame. Fuck it. And let's just have extents exactly how we want here. So let it be like, I don't know, 6 meters. Holy shit, I also need to like move it upwards by 300, of course. What the fuck? Oh no, sorry, for 600, right? That will be like that, and I want this to be how big is actually flame when it is fully grown? Actually, I don't know. Let me quickly simulate it. Here's a fully grown flame. How big are you? Oh, you don't... It is done via scale or... Oh, it is done via scale, but okay. It's 32 by 32 by 32. Oh, and it has its own scale of 0.75, 0.75, 0.75. Ah, okay. So it will be this times this and times 7. Okay, so that's what we will exactly put in. So it's like 32 times 0.75 times 7. It is that. I hope. Yeah, and let's just spawn that actor without doing anything else. So flame base, event graph, that's not the class, BP hot air flame fully grown, bank, and now it should beautifully spawn right immediately in here. And it didn't. Oh, it actually did, but it is way fucking bigger. I fucked up something with the scale, because of course, why wouldn't I? Top. That looks like shit. What I'm interested in is how big it is. To roughly 4 meters. Okay. I need the newest version of your tool, man. Okay, so this. Okay, let me just fucking eyeball it, whatever. Even smaller. This actually that small? It kinda is that small, okay. And now... yeah, we can see all those fucking things are ticking. Because I made it way too long. So how about we make it like 200 by 200? Oh, there's another problem. Of course, I did it all because I used the whole transform in here with scale. And the whole flame gets scaled, etc. Ah! So break this link, split struct, only use location and rotation, don't use spawn. Ah! So all of that shit was actually correct. Fuck. And this 600 and this 600 because it was scaled by the scale of the flame. Now it should be okay. Yeah, it is quite okay. And those things aren't ticking that, or they shouldn't have been. Ah yeah, something dynamic just spawned in here. Oh yes, my flame propagation. Oh my god. Yeah, I have to adjust the logic so there won't be a tick problem. And what the fuck dynamic is he detecting in here? Is it the flame itself? Is it? What is your type? Flame. Dynamic. Yeah, I have to make it tick friendly. Because right now, I'm detecting even a flame. And why flame is dynamic? Ah yeah, because it scales up and it can move. Fuck! Okay. So, for the next stream, we will try to make this hot air mechanic way more tick friendly. But for now, we achieved that fully grown flame actually spawns the hot air. And if you move the balloon in here, it moves. And potentially a player could use that mechanic to, you know, move something to a specific height. It should stay big. So yeah, I have to adjust some logic here and probably use that as jumping pads to traverse along the level or whatever. Or maybe align like a bubble spawner or something else. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's it for me, guys. And I think we will see each other next weekend. At least I hope so. Probably on Sunday. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it for me. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and see you soon next weekend. Bye bye, guys. Thank you, Dexterowski. Have a nice rest of the day too. Bye bye.